Hi, this is Abby with the Heirloom Farmer for video 5 of the Attainable Garden Series. I highly recommend you watch the first 4 videos first and then come back for this video. If you've been following along, that's great. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to actually start planting our garden. So here in central Pennsylvania, it is mid-April and we are past our average hard freeze date, but we still have about a month left where we can get frosts. So we can't plant anything out like tomatoes or peppers that are sensitive to frost. However, there are a lot of plants that tolerate a frost that we can plant now that we're past our hard freezing dates. We're going to look at what some of those are today, plant some plants, and talk about additional options for what you can plant in your garden. Now, I always recommend you plant things that you actually like to eat. However, there's all kinds of options for what you can plant in your garden this time of year. I'm here in our greenhouse, which I absolutely love being in the greenhouse, especially this time of year. We've got so many incredible plants here, and I'm basically gonna go shopping for plants to take out to our Attainable Garden. And you can either plant from seed or from transplants. We talked a little bit about that in the previous video and blog post, but today I'm going to be planting some transplants. So there are things that you can plant out, like lettuce that will tolerate light frosts, kohlrabi, broccoli, cabbage, chard. All of these things will tolerate a light frost and can be planted out now. So I am going to plant some kohlrabi and some lettuce. All right, I am out in the garden now. As you can see behind me is our bed, and I'm going to plant lettuce and kohlrabi transplants, but there's a lot of other things that you can plant. Now, to make the most of this size, consider planting things that grow quickly, that can be planted and harvested in a shorter amount of time so that you can fit more into a small space. Also things that take up less space that can be planted close together. Those can be some strategies to use to really help you maximize your space. And both lettuce and kohlrabi will mature pretty quickly, and then I'll be able to either replant them with more lettuce and kohlrabi, or I could plant something else, which is actually what I'm gonna do and what we're gonna do throughout this project, is focus on planting things that are going to maximize our yields and productivity in this space. Now, you don't have to do that, but if you want to maximize this space, that's a good way to do it. Some other things that you could plant right now would be peas. Choose a variety that's more of a bush variety, or you may have to build a small trellis. You could also plant radish, turnips, beets, like I mentioned, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli. There's so many options of what you can plant now, and you can plant them from seed or transplants. Sometimes planting from seed can be more cost effective, but obviously if you want to speed things up, you're going to want to start with transplants. There's some other benefits to starting with transplants as well, like having well-established plants that are going to be more resistant to things like pests or weather. And again, they're going to grow a little bit faster and be better established. So decide whether you want to start from plants or seeds, and choose what you're going to want to garden or what you're going to want to eat, and that can help you decide what to plant in your garden. All right, I am gonna go ahead and get these planted. I did not bring my tripod with me, so it's gonna be a little tricky for me to film that, but I am gonna turn the camera around and show you a few things with planting. So here in our garden, you can see, the weeds are trying to creep in a little bit. That's why we did the extra barrier of straw to prevent them from creeping into our actual bed. But we're gonna take a look over here and see what's going on underneath our layers. So you can see the grass is starting to die off for sure. There's some worm activity, some bug activity, which is all good. And the layers are doing their job of suppressing the weeds. Now, a common question is how will the roots of the plants that we want to survive grow down through the cardboard? Well, by the time the roots start to get down that far, the cardboard and the straw will be starting to break down enough that the roots will be able to grow down through. And so we're going to go ahead and plant our lettuce and kohlrabi. I'm going to be planting the lettuce right along this end and then the kohlrabi in the row right beside them. And I'm actually going to be planting them fairly close together because I know that in this compost in the soil, they're going to grow really well and they'll do just fine planted a little bit closer together. That's also going to help me further maximize my yield. But we don't want to plant them too close together, especially the head lettuce, because that won't grow as well. All right, I am going to go ahead and get these planted and then I will show you the next few things. All right, I have my lettuce and kohlrabi planted, and the the compost was pretty moist. We've been getting a lot of rain, so I don't need to water. But that's one thing that you want to check with when you transplant or plant seeds. You always want to make sure that you water them in or that there's plenty of moisture in the soil to help them get established. We're also due for some rain this afternoon, so I know that these will be just fine. I did want to mention hardening off your transplants. If they've been grown inside or in a protected environment, you want to take time to harden them off before you just stick them in the ground. These have been hardened off. If you'd like more information on how to harden off plants, we have a free guide on our website, theheirloomfarmer.com. You can put your email address in and I'll send you that guide that tells you exactly how to take care of your plants so that they survive and they don't die when you transplant them outside. We don't want that. All right, so I just dug a small hole, put the transplants right into the compost, and they are good to go. I'll just continue checking on them and I will share that progress with you so that you can see how things go. A few other things that I wanted to note today. I have not had to weed at all, and this bed has been here for about a month now. Because of the compost and the layers, I've not had to do any weeding, but I will keep an eye on it, and I always try to remove weeds as soon as I see them so that they don't get established. So I check frequently. But again, with this method, there's very little weeding, and I'll continue to show that as the season goes on. If you have any questions about what you want to plant in your bed or weeding, insects, anything like that, please comment and let me know. But again, this is pretty simple. We just came out in less than 10 minutes. I had all of these things planted and they are good to go. And we will plant some more things next week. You can plant more than this if you would like. Like I said, you can plant so many other things, Swiss chard, lots and lots of options. But this is what I'm going to plant for now. And then next week, I'm going to come and plant some more things. All right, it is that simple. Really, I want you to be able to enjoy gardening and understand that it really truly can be simple. You don't have to build trellises, you don't have to build raised beds, you don't have to have a giant space to have a really, really productive gardening. It can be truly enjoyable. So that's really just what I want to show you and encourage you in. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, happy gardening. Thank you, and God bless. All right, it's Abby with the Heirloom Farmer again, a few days later, and I wanted to show you an update. So we had planted the lettuce and kohlrabi, and then we actually got a hard freeze, which I was not expecting. But the weather does what the weather does. So I wanted to show you what happened. The lettuce is fine. It does look a little worse for the wear, but it will survive with the exception of maybe that one. But it did fine. We got down to at least 28 degrees, maybe a little bit colder. Unfortunately, the kohlrabi did not take that cold weather, so it is gone. I will replant that this week. But you know, this is part of gardening. That's why I wanted to show you this fail. You will have plants die. You will have weather do what weather does. It is part of gardening. It is still, you know, very frustrating, obviously, because I lost the kohlrabi. However, this is part of gardening, and if you can just learn to or practice accepting that it's going to happen, rather than stressing about it or getting discouraged, that's the best way to move on and just use it as a learning experience and be okay with it and replant. And that's what we're going to do. In another part of my garden, I had some critters munch something. So again, this is part of gardening. And yeah, so you learn from it, you do what you can, but you move on. And so in a few days here, we're going to do another video and replant some crops and add some new ones, keeping an eye on the weather. We should be past our last hard freeze, but it actually looks like we may get another hard freeze tomorrow night, and then we'll see from there what we do. All right, thank you, and God bless.